Hey there, people. This is the Goblin King, and I'm just wondering how your week is going. Unfortunately, mine has now just started, and, as always, I commemorate that dismal day in my life with a review of a movie that makes me happy. This last Monday, I put the question out on Twatter what movie I should do this week, and it was unanimously decided by one person what movie I should review for this week. It was also unanimously decided that one person loves me, or just that she took pity on my sad, lonely existence. Though, more than one person did like the tweet, and liked her reply to the tweet, so maybe more people love me after all. Or I could be utterly delusional. Maybe all of you imagined audience members are my delusions. If so, I appreciate you brain ghosts. Anyway, this week's pick, which was voted on unanimously by one person, was chosen by me in celebration of the latest lawsuit against veteran actor who shot and killed someone's mom, Alec Baldwin. That movie is 1994's The Shadow. The Shadow is an old character, originally created in 1930 as the host to a radio program featuring detective stories. Due to the character's popularity, he was given his own pulp magazine just a year later. Then his own radio drama in 1937, originally voiced by a young Orson Welles, a full 2 years before the more well-known Batman, the character he partly inspired, made his own comic book debut. The 94 film is drawn more from the later radio show than the original pulp detective books the character originally appeared in. Using details from the radio show such as Lamont Cranston being the Shadow's civilian guise, his female companion Margot Lane, and giving him the power to cloud men's minds through a sort of psychic hypnosis. Things that were originally used in the radio drama. As an aside, to get my credentials out there, though I'm not as familiar with all the details of the Shadow's origins in the real world, I have read several of the original pulp novels and listened to a small handful of the original radio show. I genuinely do like the character. He's, in fact, just under the Batman as my all-time favorite. Just a little ironic if you think about it. Anyway, the movie opens up in 1920s Tibet with Alec Baldwin as Yin Ko during the warlord period of China in the early 20th century, after the fall of the last imperial dynasty. Yin Ko is a barbaric warlord who apparently controls most of the opium trade throughout Asia. After brief appearances by both James Hong, I love that guy, and Al Leong, you'll recognize him from various movies and possibly my review of Die Hard. Yin Ko is kidnapped and taken to the Tulku, a sort of holy man of Tibet who wishes to redeem Yin Ko, whom he knows as Lamont Cranston. After this sort of prologue sequence, there's a sort of Star Warsian scroll which fills in the time between then and when the actual story starts. It states that the Tulku redeemed Lamont Cranston and showed him how to use his experiences as an evil bastard to hunt down other evil bastards as a sort of penance for his own deeds. The Tulku also showed Lamont how to cloud men's minds in order to help in his fight against said evils. After this, we open up on some gangsters in 1930s New York trying to toss some poor dude off a bridge wearing cement shoes. The Shadow swoops in, saves the dude from the gangsters, and makes the poor dude, who turns out to be a scientist, into one of his network of agents who owed him their lives. We're then taken to a 1930s style nightclub, classy as fuck in other words, where we're introduced to Margot Lane, played by Penelope Ann Miller. I gotta be honest, I was never that into this character or this actress in this film. She's decently prolific, I guess, but I honestly don't remember her in anything else I've seen. I guess she was in Kindergarten Cop, but, as I said, I don't remember her. This movie is the only thing I remember her from, and she was kind of meh. Pretty much the low point of the movie, and probably the most annoying character in it, by far. We're then taken to some government building where scientists are doing things for the War Department. One of them is Margot's dad, and I shit you not, until now I never knew that was Ian McKellen. I have no idea how that very pertinent fact escaped me, but escaped me it has for nearly 30 years. His part in this film wasn't all that great, but he pulled it off superbly because he's Ian fucking McKellen. The other prominent scientist is played by Tim Curry. Since it's Tim Curry, you can make a hearty bet that the character is a real shitbird. If you took that bet, you'd be 100% right and would get a cookie. Also, Tim Curry is awesome in this, as in all things. He plays a shitbird rather well. Finally, we're introduced to the main villain of the piece, one Shiwan Khan, played by John Lone, or Lone, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. If you watched Rush Hour 2, he played Ricky Tan. Now, Shiwan Khan is the supposedly last descendant of Genghis Khan, which is impressive all by itself, considering that there are literally thousands, if not millions, of people on this planet that carry Genghis Khan's own DNA. Makes you wonder what he did to all those other people if he is the last one. However, apparently he also studied under the Tulku, but wasn't able to be redeemed, and he idolizes the warlord past of Lamont Cranston and wants to bring him back to that. He also has a plan to finish what his ancestors started by completely conquering the world, and he wants Yinko at his side. From there, what follows is a fun action mystery romp where the Shadow, with the help of Margot Lane, unfortunately, has to figure out what Shiwan Khan is up to and attempt to stop his insane designs before it's too late. Well, this was really the movie that made me like Alec Baldwin, back when I was actually a fan of his. He's really not a bad actor at all, and I really liked him in this role. He was definitely a good pick for Lamont Cranston. I've already spoken my thoughts on Margot Lane. She was annoying. John Lone totally hammed it up in this role. It's really enjoyable to see a person who seems to actually have fun with the role they're playing. Shiwan Khan was a really over-the-top villain who I believe was another character that was originally introduced in the radio drama, possibly the later on comic books. I'm sure we all know how hokey and over-the-top some of those old stories and characters can be. I mean, just look at the 1960s Batman TV series. Though, to be fair, I don't think Shiwan was really too hokey in this film, just very much over the top. Which is really, to me, what made the whole thing work. Plus, John Lone actually did manage to add in a bit of legit malevolence to the role that sold the whole thing off, and actually kept it from being hokey. A lot of that being due to his very matter-of-fact delivery of many of his more over-the-top lines. You just have to watch it to know what I'm talking about. Tim Curry was a big one for this. He's another actor who really knows how to ham up some of these roles that could just be bad if they weren't taken too seriously. This was one of those roles, of course. So Tim Curry was really the perfect person to play the part of Farley Claymore. There's some really dated CGI in this movie. I mean, it's from '94, so I suppose that should be expected. Some of it definitely wasn't too bad. Like the Purba wasn't terrible, but it's definitely noticeable. And there are some other bits that are just, I know there are people out there that really get turned off by that kind of thing, so fair warning. Otherwise, the show is very pulpy, very fun, very over the top in its execution and its scope. By that I mean, think of some of the villainous schemes of an old comic book villain. The thing is that the film very much leans into that sort of storytelling aesthetic. It's just there to be fun and to showcase a heroic character that has a longer pedigree than both Batman and Superman. Also, the set pieces. Just the same thing I said when I did the Roger Rabbit review. 1930s, 1940s era anything can always get at least more than a passing glance from me. I love the aesthetics of that era, so it has that on top of everything else I liked. Yeah, so this is running a bit long, and I think I've gushed long enough. I'll end it here. Tell me what you thought in the comments section down below while you're down there. The weed of crime bears bitter fruit, so smash those like and subscribe buttons. The Shadow knows, and appreciates your patronage. I'll see you tomorrow for an anime review. Have a good one. Lates.